Okay, good evening. We're up to Daf Samech today, and just to segue in, we're holding by Zion on base.
Segue in.
Wait till we went online.
Okay, so um,
Words.
about Taisif. Anyway, he's showing off to you. Anyway,
You want to start?
Show Bill.
Thinking of
Like that.
Thank you.
with special occasion.
anyway, getting back to the Daf, which is recording, by the way. We saw yesterday eventually the halacha of mashkanta. I'll give you two types of mashkanta. We said that one that as long as you can't, the person has it and you can't get him off the land. In other words, let's say that you can hold the mashkanta for 2 years, then for 2 years you can't, even if you have money to pay off the loan, you won't be able to get back your mashkin. You won't be able to get back the land. In that case, then you could eat peiris. So you can eat peiris. Why? Because we'll view it as a mecher. Since you can't move off the land whatsoever, you're stuck there. So therefore, it's not considered I'm getting rewarded for what? For waiting for my money, because we're going to consider it a mecher. Conversely, if it's a place where you could go ahead and buy him out, in other words, you have the mashka now, but if I come up with money, I can get you off the land, then we won't view it as a sale. I mean, if the malva eats the peiris, and it appears if what he's getting rewarded, right? He's getting rewarded for what? For the loan, which is obviously Metzia ribis or avak ribis. So one of the ways they would do is they would eat binachyaisa. They would go ahead and they would, in other words, they would pay a little bit to eat a certain by deductions. In other words, we're going to deduct from the loan based upon what you eat. It's a nominal amount. Okay. We said Talmud Chacham can't even do that because he's supposed to be above the letter of the law. So we said, how could he eat? He could eat with Meshkanta de Surah. Picking up on that original, the mashkin that we discussed yesterday, we pick up the Gemara at the 2 dots about 15 lines up, 18 lines up. Pshita, the Asr de Misalke, it's a place where you could get the guy off the land. If you come out with money, you'll be able to get him off the land. The Omar, and he says, the Moicha says, the Malva says, Lay Mr. Lachna. He makes the condition, I'm giving you a loan on the condition that the mashkin, that I stay on the land. Then he said it. He gave the loan on that condition, and it's a done deal, and it's okay. It's a place where you couldn't get him off, so it's to the advantage of the malva. The Omar, this malva is such a benevolent fellow, says, Mistalakna, I will get off if you come up with the money. I will get off, you will come up with the money. Now, who should be making this condition? The loiva. The loiva should be making the condition, right? He should be making the condition that I want to get you off. There's the meaning of the places for you to stay. The loiva should be able to say, I want to get you off by paying you early, right? I want to get you off. So really the loiva should say this. So it appears on the surface as pitume milsa. We said the other day that he's just giving him the foot. He's just saying what he wants to say. We'll see Taisus in a second. Does he have to make a kinyan suda or loy? Does he have to make a kinyan suda or not? Says Rashi that this could be dibur ba'alma. In other words, it could be just saying something. So in order to make sure that it happens, you have to make a kinyan on the fact that he says, you know what, even though this is a place where I can't get you off to my advantage, the lova, make a kinyan that your words are true. Let's see Taisus for a second. Don't think it's because it's what pitume mili, that's nothing. The loivi boilas no because the loiva should be making that condition. Then kain might tzarich l'miknei. Why do you have to make a kinyan? Lame with the loiva yisna. Just have the loiva go ahead and make the tanai without, So if the problem is that the malva made the tanai, just make the loiva make the tanai and don't go through a kinyan. So that's not b'shat. The nira, what is the b'shat? The Irish sha'acha shaloivi imenu stam. In other words, it's after the halva. If it was b'shas halva, there would be no problem. It's after the halva that he offers this information. Now, guys, it's after the halva he offers the information. He might go ahead and say, he's saying whatever he's saying to order go make sure to give support to what he's saying. After the halva, this is what Taisus learns that you make the kinyan. Okay, that's back in the Gemara. So therefore, that was speaking about the kinyan on the mashkin. Papa like tzarich l'miknei. Rav Sheshes Brei Davidi Omet tzarich l'miknei. Minei v'hilcha said Allah is tzarich l'miknei. He has to make a kinyan. Omar, Ezel v'aisi zuzi layachol. Now, it's a place where you can get him off, guys. It's a place where you can get him off. And the guy he's eating binach yaisa, let's say. And the Levi says, listen, I got the money. I'm going to go get it. Don't eat. Can he stop him from eating? And the answer is, layachol. He could stop him. He's got the money biyadai. He could stop him from eating. Just wait, because I'm going to give you the money now. Meaning, I'm going to pay up the loan and get off my land. However, he says, I'll go, and the key word, va'atrich, and I'll work, I'll trouble myself to go ahead and get the money, meaning he doesn't have the money now. He's going to have to go ahead and be matriach himself to get the money now. Then what's the din? Ravina ama'achal, he still could eat. He could eat. Why? Because again, he doesn't have the money. He can't eat. And the halacha is that you should. The halacha is you should not eat. The halacha is you shouldn't eat. Rashi says, "Lo What? No, that's not that Rashi. I guess you shouldn't eat because again, I don't know why shouldn't he eat? What's the svara why you shouldn't eat? Again, he has to matriach. He has to matriach himself to get the money, right? He has to matriach to sell. He has to get the money. V'atrich layachol, and the Gemara, I guess the hilchasa, the halacha is like marzucha beidarav mar shlayachol. You shouldn't eat. I guess he. I don't know. I don't know exactly why. Rav Kana v'Rav Papi v'Rav Ashi layachli. They would not eat. They would tell me the chacham. They wouldn't eat. Even ben achyaisa, even with a deduction, they wouldn't eat. Ravina achol ben achyaisa, but Ravina ate. Question of his Isa Talmud Chacham, he shouldn't eat. So look at Taisvis. Ravina achol ben achyaisa. Even with deductions, they shouldn't eat. They got to be squeaky clean. Void. So we made a chilik with what? If the bikitsusa, if you gave a set time, a limit, Rabacha, Ravina, Vafilaman the Shari might have been Achyaisa the Asa. The Ravina said that it was Asa, so why is he eating over here? Says the Gemara, I guess he was a big enough. He didn't want to go ahead and not eat as he make himself a Talmud Chacham. Okay, so another shot. We'll go weiter. Amamar Zutra, my time of demand achol ben achyaisa. Why could you eat? In other words, what's the reason? What guys, how's nachyaisa working? You're not. It's not a mashkanta the surah. You're not working down the loan. You're not working. Surah is you're deducting from the loan. Nachyaisa means we let you eat a little bit so it doesn't look like ribbis. Pay a little bit so it doesn't look like ribbis. You're sitting on my land. I own the land. The land's mine. You lent me. You lent me money. So now you're on my land. If you're going to be eating, it looks like classic ribbis. You gave me a loan and you're eating. Good. So one way to avoid that is let you be nachyaisa. In other words, eat a little bit. By eating a little bit, it shows that you're not paying back the loan, but it right, so you're not eating up the paybis as a loan, but nachyaisa you're making some deduction or something, but you're not totally paying. It's less than that amount. So what's the reason that a person eats nachyaisa? Why could you do that? L'chayra, it's still not paying up the loan, so it still should look like what? Like ribbis. Says Gemara, perhaps it's like being paid as steachusa. We know that a person's magdish steachusa, he has to be paid before yovel, and he has 50 years, 49. Basically, you make it. It's a set rate of one seller per pudyin per year. So in the 49th year, it's going to be 49 sellers and 49 pudyanim, and it goes down in price. So afagav de ka'achol peri tuva, the guy's on the land. He's eating a lot of peris, and now he's going to be paid. Amrachmana. The Torah says be parik for arbazuzi. Arbazuzi is a seller. So even though you're eating it, and even though the land's not yours, what's the right of the land's not yours, you can redeem it. I can get you off the land, and nonetheless you're able to eat. So who are din by mashkin? A mashkin that the eating ben achyaisa, you can eat a little bit, and I can get you off the land. So that's the one who says it's permitted. Uman the asar, the one who says it's asar. Amalach will tell you stay achuza hegdishi. Stay achuda is hegdish. Rachmana ukmi apidyon, and the Torah said you could be paida. The Torah said you could be paida, but hacha over here halvahi. This you're sitting on the land with a mashkin is a halva. Umichsi karibis, right? If too little is given, you're not giving the person enough money to eat. You're eating more than that. It appears like it's ribis. So therefore, it's not permitted. Ravashi. Amru Sabi the Masa Machasya. The elders of Masa Machasya told me the following. Stam Mashkanta, if you don't go ahead and make a time limit, right? Stam Mashkanta, you don't make a time limit, is Shasa, it's for a year. So if you give a mashkin of a field, what's the usual without specifying? It's a year. Lamai nafkamina, what's the nafkamina? The achale Shasa, Motzi Masalakle, after a year is up, he's able to go ahead and pay up and get him off the land. V'iloi loy Motzi Masalakle, says Rashi. Dilma, Hasam lav, no, the loy matzi masalek kol shenasai. You can't, va'afilu ma'asu de masalke. Pirish, guys, even a place that normally you go ahead and able to buy it out, if it's stam you said for a year, even though usually you can buy out for a longer period of time, if stam and mashkin, within that, Rashi saying you would not be able to go ahead and buy him out. Even though it's a place you could buy out, if it's stam and mashkin within that year, you can't. That's how Rashi learns over here. So again, if he didn't eat a year, even though it's a place he normally can get the guy off. In other words, there's a certain amount of time he's allowed to have in his possession. Even though it's a place where you usually could pay up the loan. That's the chiddush, that Stama Mashkin, that you didn't specify a time, even though it's a place you could pay up the loan, in this instance, right, you won't be able to get rid of him. Yeah.
Listen, I don't know, just my thought process is if I'm Malva, I would want my money back. So
I'm gonna get my money back, and plus I have the field. I'm gonna get my money back. I'm eating Paris. I've been achyaisa, but I'm eating Paris. I'm having the best of both worlds. V'Amar Ravashi, Amar Li Sabi the Masa Machasya. The elders of Masa Machasya told me the following: my mashkanta. What's the word mashkanta? What's the etymology of the word mashkanta? You know, it's an interesting word. Yeah. The shchuna gabe. It's a contraction of the word the shchuna gabe. Its neighbor is gabe by it. Its neighbor by it. Now, there's a lot of guys of dini de mitzvah that the person gets first dibs. Is usually the field is the shachen. He gets first dibs. If you're going to sell a field, he'd rather have one large field than two small fields. So this din de mitzvah comes into play now. But my mashkanta the shchuna gabe l'may nafkamina l'dina de mitzvah, that he's considered the malva is considered. The malva is considered dina by mitzvah, and he would get first dibs on the land. That he's the mashkin on the land, and he sits on the land. If the loiv is going to sell the land, the malva would get first dibs. Amar Rava, says Rava, conclusion, Les hilchasa loy kitarshe papunoi, loy kishtari machuznoi, loy kichachiri narshoi. Okay, now going back over each one. Kitarshe papunoi, kitarshe de Rav Papa. Let's go back in time, fellas. We had a tarsha the other day. Right, that's a tarsha, where a person goes ahead, and we had 3 examples of it. And the middle example was the example of Rav Papa. Rav Papa would go ahead, he would go ahead and give a person dates in Tishrei for the price in Nisan, albeit he would only collect the money in Nisan. And it wouldn't be considered like Aganotar that he waited for it, because A, he had a place to store the dates, and B, he didn't need the money. And so that was his heta for tarsha. Halacha is not like that. Why? Because vis-a-vis the loiva, it is ribbis. The loiva, if he had money, he get the smaller price. Now he's going to pay more for waiting to pay up the loan. He's going to have it's for Rav Papa vis-a-vis the loiva. It's ribbis. Now the halacha is the halacha is not like Rav Papa, and the halacha is not like the shtari mechuznoi. The zakfole leravcha akarna because of la b'shtara. Okay, fellas, we're going to get tonight to something called an iska. We're going to get tonight to something called an iska, not a heter iska, but an iska, and it's very important to get it straight. But I'm not going to right now. I'm not going to hack it. I'll hack it in 5 minutes or less. Basically, a person goes ahead, gives you give him money. You finance the deal, and you say, "Here's $1,000. Okay, go ahead. You work, and we'll split the profits. We'll split the profits. That's an iska. That's an iska. We'll get to how it works exactly. This person in the star would write that I gave you let's say in this example, $1,000, and you're going to make I anticipate a profit of 400. So we're going to split the profit. He'd write in the star 1,200. He wouldn't write 1,000. No, it's 1,000 he has to give him. It's his property. It's his property he's taken, his capital. But he would write in the star. He would write in the star the profit that he made already. Good. So they didn't like that. That's called the star mechuznoi. The zot v'lei l'ravcha. They would add the revach. They would add the profit karna on the keren that he owed him. The kasvi le b'shtora, and they'd write it in. Why is it a problem? Miyema dahabe ravcha. How do you know that in fact they're going to go ahead and see a profit? So in our case, if you'd write in there $1,200 and they don't make a profit, so it appears if what? You're giving me back more. You give me back. I gave you 1,000. You give me back 1,200. It appears that way. So therefore, they didn't like that because really it's only 1,000. Amalei Mar bar Amema Ravashi said Mar, the son of Amema to Ravashi, Abba Avirachi. My father Amema would do it. He'd write in the extra profit. The Chios Lekamei, and when they would come in front of him, the agent of his iska, when he come in front of him, they would believe him if they didn't make money. Amema would believe him. If they come back and say, you know what, you gave me $1,000, I was not able to make a profit, he'd believe it. So but he wanted this. So why do you write it in the first place? Make it harder for them to lie. To make it harder for them to lie. But he believed them otherwise. So Amalei Tenach, so said Rav Ashi to Mar, the son of Amemar, Tenach Hechad As Isyuli today. That's good when your father is around. He shochiv, if your father would die, the Nafal Shtora Kame Yasme, my. In other words, good your father, it wouldn't be a problem because he'd believe them. That what if they tell him there's no. But what about the kids? If kids have a star that says 1,200, the guy saying I only took 1,000, they're not going to believe you. So the star is it's not such a good thing to have. Anyway, who said this? Rav Ashi said this to Mar, the son of Amamemer. What happens if your father would die? Right. It's like the shogeg coming out of the mouth of the master. The noyach nafshe damemer name of what was nifta. The last thing, so the halacha is not like the Tarsha Rav Papa, and the halacha is not like that. You can't write this shtar chuznoi, writing the profit in addition to the keren. Chachiri narshoy is the following: they would go ahead, you would lend the person money. You would lend the person money, and on his field, and now you want to put a seicher into the field. So who would you put into the field? You'd put the seicher into the field. You put him to the field, right? The guy who you rented from, you put him in the field, right? So now, the kasvi, they write the following: Mashkin le planya, ara le planya. I went ahead, took the mashkin of so and so, the land of so and so, and then I went ahead and I rented it out to the loiva. Okay, and then I rented it out to the loiva, so you would have him in the field. Let's see Rashi over here. Rashi explains this a little better. Chachiri narshoy shohayu balabatim malafim moyis la'aniyim. They would lend money to aniyim, al sedaseyim, and the nonim would give them their field. The choyzvim v'choychim ma'isam lehem. And they would then go back and make a deal of chachiris with the aniyim, v'kach kurun l'shana, to produce X amount, a set amount for the year, right? They would go ahead and they produce a set amount for the year, and this seemed to be something that was commonly done. So they didn't like this. They didn't like it for the following reason: Emas kina, he's going ahead and giving the field over to the loiva. When was he ever kind of the field? When was the Malva ever kind of the field, the Akyanele, that he's able to go ahead and give it over in a Chachiris deal? It doesn't belong to him. It doesn't belong to him. And when he goes ahead and he collects the Chachiris, it's Nimtza, guys, he's getting money on his loan. He's getting money on his loan. Since what? Rashi says it's ribis katsutza even, because he's not taking a loss whatsoever. Okay, others argue. Now, but Idna, and this day and age, the kokasri hachi, they would write in the shtar chachiris, kanina mine, I acquired it from him. I acquired it from the leiver, ushahina kama idane, and I lived on it a little bit of time. So him, the malva, living on a little bit of time of the land, shows what? He has a certain bilis in the land, that is not a leiver. And don't, after I lived on it, then and only then, when I lived on it a little bit, I then went ahead and gave it over in a chachiris deal, shapadami. Then it's good. Then says the Marvel will see. There's no difference. But you're right, it doesn't make a difference. You can't go ahead and do it. It's not. This is not something that's acceptable. Right? Kadesh like tell them if they love him, right? And Shapadami Vlad Milsi. I don't know. I skipped. But the Chachma Kadesh Leitinus they will allow this deal in order to facilitate what? Transactions. And Vlad Milsi, it's worse to go ahead on and see what it looks like. That it looks like ribis than what then Tinel Delis. Guys, please listen up. Guys, listen up. This is very important. You have to listen. Give me all your. I'm going to give you the whole idea of Iska. Very, very important to understand the next sugya, and in general to understand the heter Iska, which Bismana says is a very, very popular vehicle of avoiding ribis. Okay, here's a business deal. I'm not a seicher. I'm not a merchant. But somebody, I ended up buying, let's say, for example, 1,000 cases of Poland Springs water. Got 1,000 cases of Poland Springs water. What am I going to do with it? I go to a fellow and I say, listen, I can't deal with this. You deal with it. You'll deal with it, and we'll split the profits. What happens if anything goes wrong with it? I tell the guy, I'll take the loss. I'll take the loss. There is no problem then whatsoever. If this guy goes ahead and makes money, splits the profit, there's nothing whatsoever. There's no shmek of ribis. There's no halva here whatsoever. It was a simple transaction. Now, I might be a fool. I might be foolish. Why? Because I'm taking all responsibility. Okay? So therefore, people would not go into this practice that often. Now, it's a great practice. Guys, this is business, right? This is a common business deal. But people would avoid doing it if I have to take, if you, the worker, is not taking any responsibility for it, then why should I do it? So they came up with the following vehicle, the following way to do this. Here's what they would do, guys. Here's what they would do. I'm going to go ahead and give you the 1,000 cases. We'll split the profit. But you're going to, I'm using half numbers, just the numbers are arbitrary. Half just makes it easier. You're responsible for 500 of those cases. That if anything happens, and anything happens, you're going to take the loss. So it's my money. It's my money, but you're going to take the loss in half the cases. So in that case, we're dividing the 1,000 cases. The part that you are responsible for, right? I'm lending it to you. Since you're responsible for it, you have to come back and pay me, right? It's a halva. If you're not responsible at all, it's nothing. But if, on the other hand, you're going to have to pay me, obviously, then what? You owe me something. It's a halva. The other half, that's mine. So when you make profit, you're making profit on the part that I lent you, right? And the other half is on the money that's mine. In other words, you're watching 1,000 cases of Poland Springs. 500 belong to you, me Torah's halva. 500 belong to me. If we make $600 on that, so $300 profit comes from the part that I lent to you, and 300 comes from here. Okay, that is that. Now there should be no problem with this whatsoever, except, and always in Ezenesha, guys, you have to ask yourself, where's the ribis? Where's the ribis? Here it is. Who's working on my half, on my Picardin part? He is. So I'm getting him to work for me for the 500 cases I lent him. But he's a working partner, but the working partner is, he what's he doing? He's not getting paid anything. He's working for himself and working for me. It appears that he's working for me because I lent him 500 cases. That's ribis. I'm gaining his working on my Picardin part. I'm gaining that part That part that belongs to me, that's going to be my profits. Who's working on that? He is. What? No, but I didn't give him that part. I gave him there's two parts. I gave him I lent him 500 cases. I still own 500 cases. Who's selling? I am on my. Who's selling my 500 cases? My 500 cases. Who's selling that? He is. Now, so let's look at it now. I give him 500. I give him 1,000 cases of wine. 500 cases are mine. 500 cases he owes me, but it's his. Good. We're going to split the profits. So where's the problem with that? The problem is the following. Since I was such a nice guy to lend him 500 cases of wine, he's working to sell my 500 cases. That's ribbis. I know, but again, whatever the deal makes sense, but there's a michsei karibis over here. I'm getting something for the money I gave him. For the 500 cases I loaned to him, he's selling my part. How to avoid that? You pay him to work for you. You pay him to work for you. That's how it works. So if you're paying him,
That's
no,
$1.
well, that's in the heter. We didn't get this. Is not the heteris. Heteris is an iron base, but it does help you understand. You will understand heteris much better. Now that you understand this, it's much better. So the Gemara says, and Kuf Dalid, this iska is chatzi, is palga pikodin and palbi halva. It's here for pikodin and here for milva. That's what it means. There's in the person, the working partner, so to say, is getting half the profits from what? From the part that I loaned him, and half the profits I'm getting from the part that he's working for me. That would be Ribis' problem. He's working because of the halva I gave him, pay him, and for working for you, and then you don't have a problem. That's the iska, and that's our Mishnah now. I think it's pretty clear, right? I think it's clear, right? Great. You good?
Why can't we say like before that he has use of the money till he comes back?
He has use to the money all the time. It's not a problem. But the problem is he's working for the money I gave him. I gave him a loan. He had nothing. I gave him I lent him 500 cases of water. And for those 500 cases of water, he's working for my profit. That's aganotar in the schar. What? He's not getting paid. Where's he getting paid?
500 cases.
So he's not getting paid.
He's giving to him for free.
No, it's a halva. It's responsible. If it gets ruined, he's taking the loss from me. For free would mean if I would take the loss. He's taking the loss. It's a halva. That's the key. It's a halva because he's responsible for it. David, you understand the difference?
Yeah, because earlier the whole 1,000 was on you.
Again, in the first case, right. So since it was on me, there was no loan. There was no loan whatsoever. But why would I do that, right? But now making him part of by lending to him. So, but the problem is he's working for my part. For what? Because I gave him this. That's ribis. So Baruch Hashem. So what do you do now? Pay him for that, and you're good. So that's the Mishnah. That's the Mishnah. Ein meishivin chenvani lemechze schar. You can't go ahead, give produce to a schani, to a chenvani for half the schar, right? You can't do that. Why? Because he's going to be selling it for you. He's going to be selling it for you without payment. Nor can you give him money to buy the Paris. Unless you pay him like a poil. Now you understand the guys. Geschmack. If you pay him like a poil, then you can go ahead and give him something for half the profits. You can't do it otherwise because it's michsei karibis. Because you didn't pay him anything, and he's working for you on the loan that you gave him. But now, by giving him money, then he's working for you for the money you paid him, not for the loan. You remove the loan as the reward. Now, notice there's two cases over here. One, you gave him the schayra, and the second one, you gave him money to buy the schayra. The Gemara is going to ask, why do you need to tell me two cases? Okay. Now, you can't go ahead and stick a situation with Tarnagolis, with giving a farmer and you share half the profits without him working, the same problem. Then shomim, you can't go ahead and set a price. Eglon v'sayachin, Igla is a calf, sayachin is a baby horse, lemechza. He's going to raise it and you're going to split the profits, guys. So shomim means the following. this animal is worth, in our case, the animal is worth 1,000. I'm shumin, or ain't shumin, meaning the animal is worth 1,000. Raise it and we'll split the profits. You can't do that because why? Because he's working for you. LMK, nice and less scharoi. Ameloi, the schar of his tircha, umizoinoi, and for the feed. Aval mekablim agolim seyach lemechza. You could be mekabel agolim seyach lemechza, right? And what does that mean? You could go ahead without setting a price, in other words, I can give you an animal and say, listen, the animal, whatever you sell it for in a few years, we'll split the profit. That's not a problem. Why? Since I didn't set a price initially, I didn't evaluate what it's working, it's not a loan. When I go ahead and give him, here's a horse, a baby horse, a foal, and the baby horse is worth, I said, let's go ahead to the cattle broker, the dealer, the horse dealer, and he says it's worth X amount of money, $1,000. Then why did I do that? To say you owe me half of that. If I just go ahead and give you the horse without setting a price, there's no halva whatsoever, and that would be permitted. Okay, that's what Rashi tells us. Let's see, Rashi goes. Vein summon agolim seyachim. Go about 8 lines up. Vein shamin agolim seyachim lechza. Achshav hein shavim kach v'kach. Now they're worth this and this. Kiblam alayich. Go ahead and take it upon yourself. Legadlam, to raise them. Shenasayim, for 2 years. Lemechza schar, if you have to schar. Or lemechza hefsid, and half the hefsid. And yusu, if they die. In other words, this is the case of Poland Springs water with a horse. Aval mekablim agolim sayachim. Ketanim, beloy shuma, key word, guys, without an evaluation. Sheim yamusu lo yishalim klum. Right? They can't pay anything, so there it's not alva. That you could do, because it's not alva. Because once you didn't set a price, he can't. Once he's not responsible to pay, it's not alva, and that's good. Okay, the Mishnah concludes with a derech agav dekadin. U'megadon le'sleim ashiyu mishulashim, either 3 years old, a third of their growth. The chamor atchetei ta'enis, and go ahead and chaprain. Okay, so now what did we say? In this iska, the avoidance of the problem on that he's working for me b'shas alva is that you pay him kipoil. The Gemara wants to know, what do you mean you pay him kipoil? Tana kipoil bottle. I mean, you pay him not to work. What does it mean? I'm a base. What do you mean kipoil bottle? You pay him. Says the Gemara Rabbi. Kipoil bottle shall oisem malacha. A poil of that work. Let's say the guy is he's a blacksmith or he's a carpenter. He's got a heavy load. How much would he be willing to give up that to work an easier job? This easier job, okay? The chenvani in a store. The bottom line. Now you told me 2 cases. You told me a case where you gave the schar over, the schayra over, and you told me a case where what? You gave money to buy schayra. The case of chenvani where we gave him the schayra to sell. Chenvani who the sagile kipoil bottle. The chenvani, it's enough to pay him like a poil bottle. Mishum delay nafish tercha, because he doesn't have to work so hard. Because you provided for him. You're bringing the stuff to his store, sell it, and therefore what? And therefore you pay him kipoil bottle. Aval moyis likach behem peiris. But to go ahead, give him the money, he's got to go down to the market and buy it. The nafish tercha, that's tremendous tercha. Maybe you got to pay him more. Maybe you got to pay him more. Kamash Milan that you pay him kipol bottle. And if you tell the second case money to go down to Hunts Point Market, have Amina Hassan with the boy kipol bottle. Mishum the nafish tercha because he's working so hard, he's paying kipol bottle. Al the chenvani the nafish tercha chenvani he's not working so hard. Maybe just what a pittance. That feel like tavalimai ela betzir loyachlimai ela gregris. You let him dip his bread in your herring juice, or you went ahead and you gave him you threw him a dried fig. So I might think that's a schar not kapal, but that's you need to tell me. No, you need to tell me across the board either that kapal bottle is enough and not too much, or kapal bottle is enough and not too little. Okay. A few dinim in Iska. Again, we have Iska rice now. Half is a loan, half is a pikadon. His profits are coming from the loan. Your profits are coming from the pikadon. The Rib's problem is if he's not getting anything to work for what? For your part. It seems like he's getting the schar of you lending him the stuff he's getting to work, give him something that would take care of it. Tan Rabbanan. Kamu scharai, bein meruba, bein muit. How much is schar? Whether a lot or a little, whatever they decided, whether they decided a lot or a little. The Remeya says, you know what? The schar you're paying him, whatever it is, you make it up. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, I feel like tavalimay a little bit, but bitzir, even if he dips in fish sauce, v'yachalimay, ela begregris achas, so scharay. The difference between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Meir says, also can be very little. Guys, Rabbi Meir says a little also. Rabbi Yehuda say, Rabbi Meir says that you have to set it beforehand. Like Rabbi Yehuda, even if you don't set it, you don't have to be placing it. You just simply have to go ahead. In other words, that would be enough of a schar. You guys, you hear this? That's where your dollar comes from. There's be like a nothing over here. You're doing nothing. What are you doing over here? Nothing. As long as you give him a mashu, something, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you dip, you don't have a ribbis problem. He's working for you for that herring sauce. I must like herring. Okay. So Rameya says, whatever you said, Rabbi Yehuda says, Reb Shimon ben Yechoyime, nice l'scharai, Muslim, kipayel bottle. You have to pay him like kipayel bottle from that malacha. Tan Rabbanan. Ain't shaman, lo yasa izim, lo yasa rechelim, v'loy kol dava sheina oisa v'oichel metzia. You can't go ahead and evaluate an amount on goats, on sheep, or anything that any oisa v'oichel malacha, lemechza. Okay, you can't do that without setting it up. Outside, guys. Here's the story. I'm giving you oxen. I'm giving you oxen in a iska relationship. Good. So I give you a few oxen. You're going to sell them. We're going to split the profits. But half of the oxen, if anything happens to them, you're responsible. So half the oxen to the working guy is a halva, and half is the pikadon. In that case, you would not have to pay him anything. Why? Because the work that the oxen do for him in his field, that's the schar for him working for you. The oxen, innately, there's a payment there. They're schlepping for you. They're working for you. They're fertilizing your field. I mean, they're doing stuff for you. Yeah? So Mimela, you wouldn't have to go ahead and give something. When do you have to give? When they don't do anything. So shaman means I'm evaluating it that you're going to be responsible for half. Shaman is a fancy lashon for it's an iska that there's a halva. Because since there's an evaluation, there's a price. That means you're responsible for half the price, guys. Shaman, since I'm evaluating it, you're going to be responsible for half the price. That's what it means. So now, ain't shaman means you can't set up an iska using rams, sheep, or goats without without paying the guy, because they're trouble without them innately giving you anything. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, shaman esa'izim, you could. You know why? They give you something. They give you goat's milk. So since you have the goat's milk, that's your payment for the work you're doing. And the rams, you share them, wash them, and you take out the thorns, and you got wool. So Memela, just like the ox works the field, and that's the price for him working for you, so too the sheep and the goats, which provide wool and milk, would be payment for the work he's doing for you, and it's not a problem of ribbis. And because what? Because if I guess it produces eggs. Like the Tanakama, that you do not evaluate them without paying. Why not? What's wrong? Milk is not good. Wool's not good. I mean, apparently, Rabbi Yehuda makes a lot of sense. You're getting used to something. For whatever work you're doing, you're getting something tangible. You're getting milk. You're getting wool. So what would the Tanakama not like about that? That he says you have to pay him. Says the Gemara, you're right. If you're speaking about sharings and you're speaking about milk, everyone would agree. Everyone would agree that you don't have to pay him, because that's the payment for him working for you. Ki pligi, you know what the machlokes is? B'nisyoyve v'tusri. Nisyoyve is the way. You're paying him way. V'tusri, and you're paying him I think the wool that falls off, the shtifas maritas marachelim, something like that, the cheap wool that falls off. So that is not worth anything. The Tanakam is like Reb Shimon ben Yochai, Dam and Schar Muslim. He also like Reb Shimon ben Yochai. You have to give him mat, a real schar, and that and whey and remnant wool is not real schar. If you the Saba like Kavua, he also like his father Reb Yehuda. The Amar even fish sauce. I feel the tabalima yel betzir v'layochlima yel begorgus akas. So very good. So guys, nachiba says the Tanakama. You don't evaluate sheep and goats without paying. In other words, you can't enter an Iska business because they're not getting anything to offset the work he's doing for you. What are you talking about? You're getting the wool, you're getting the milk. So he goes, you're right. The deal was you're going to keep the what? You're going to keep the whey and the remnant wool. So says the Tanakama, that's not going to do the job. That's not a payment. Why? Because he was like Rishon Bar Yochai. Said Rishon Bar Yochai, when you pay a guy, you got to pay the guy. Compile bottle. Rabbi Yehuda said, like his father. What his father said, even fish, even herrings, right? So therefore, whey is the same thing as herring, right? You have look, see, he has recipes already in his head. Look, he's putting it together, the herring, and he's cooking up something. He's going to take a picture of it anyway. Yeah, okay. Herring and whey sauce. Okay, right, guys, it's good. It's good. I think it's clear, right? I think it's clear. Okay, another din in Iska. Tanrabanan. Mascheres isha l'chaverator tanagolis. She can go ahead and rent out her chicken to her friend. The shnei afroichim, that to get 2 little chicks for a year. Get paid for the use of the hen. You can get back 2 little chicks. Isha shomer l'chaverta tanagolis shali. The tanagolis is mine. Ubeitzim shlichi, and the eggs are yours. Bani va'at nechlach be'afroichim, and we'll divide the chicks. Rabbi Yehuda Mata, Rabbi Shimon Oisa, right? Read the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda leiboy schara molim b'zaynai. Many means mutter doesn't have to pay. This is a classic iska. She's working for you. You're splitting the profits. Where's the payment? So, says the Gemara. Ikka baits and muzaris. They're the unfertilized eggs. That's the payment. They're going to keep the eggs. Tanrabanan. Malkum shenogu lahalei schar ksaf lemois lebehema in a place where the minig was in a place where the minig was. Schar katav lemois lebehema mailen, in a place where they would give for the calves and the little foals for half the schar. You would pay him for schlepping it, right? Makam shenogu lahalei schar kataf. Kataf means what? To schlep on your shoulders, right? Then you have to pay it. They mishanin minig medina, and you can't change it. Rav Shimon Gamliel Oimer, if you give the money, kasher nasan la'osim yachad im imam, shamin egel im imoy, usiyach im imoy, you go ahead and you would evaluate the mother with the child, and the mother with the child. Let's see Rashi over here. I don't remember doing this. Says the Gemara. The one before. Makom shenogu lahali schar kosif lemois lebehemis malin. Makom shenogu shehasam egolim sayochim ketanim lemetzia. You would go ahead and you enter in iska. You go ahead and you set a price. You're going to split half the profits from these children. Noisen lemois beschar shemeitzin machnisen al ksefay malin. You would go ahead and give him a mois for the schar for him taking it in and out. However, if you go ahead and evaluate with the mother, now with the mother, you don't have to take it in and out because it's going to follow the mother. That says Rashi. The leka tircha lafuke elu yule. There's no tircha of you schlepping it because it's going to follow its mother. Right? Very geschmack. So if you don't sell it with the mother, then you have to pay him for the schlepping. If you sell it with the mother, you don't have to pay him anything because the mother's going to work for you and it's schlepping the kid in. So that's the lashon. Tan Rabbanan. Makshna allows schar katif l'mois behema ma'ilin ve'mishan middle minute. Reb Shimon Gamliel Oimer shaman egel im imai. You go ahead and you evaluate the egel with the mother. Meaning, once you evaluate, that's a fancy way of saying you're setting up an iskar, and in part that's responsible as halva. v'siach v'sayachim imoy. V'afilu mokum shnogel halis schar katev l'mal mois. You don't have to. Rav Shimon Gamliel loy boy schar amolim b'sayne. But like Rav Shimon Gamliel, who says that wow, if you value with the mother, don't you have to go ahead and give him something? Says you have the glolim, you have the fertilizer. The idach, and the other one says you have to give him money. Glolim afkurim afkalu. A glolim, they're going to go ahead and be mafka. Okay, well we'll stop over. I guess we'll stop over here.